introduce this, I want to read a verse from you from the Psalms. You can go ahead and turn to Hosea. In Psalm 89:14, we read, "Justice and judgment are the habitation of thy throne. Mercy and truth shall go before thy face." God has taken 3 chapters of Hosea for this incredible object lesson using Hosea and Gomer and the children. And we looked at length at the names of the children, all meaning something specific in how God was going to be dealing with the nation of Israel. And then we saw Gomer's unfaithfulness to Hosea and how God was dealing with her. And then we looked at Hosea, a picture of God's love, and how he was told to go again and again and not to give up on her, to redeem her and buy her back. Now we're going to switch a little bit. And instead of the object lesson, he'll refer to it from time to time. But now we're going to spend some time in the courtroom. Sin breaks the heart of God, and it offends the holiness of God. And he has worked with the nation of Israel, and he's giving them this very visible thing between Gomer and Hosea to make them aware of what their situation is, but they have a big problem. The nation of Israel is still not ready to repent. In fact, they won't even admit that they have done wrong. And so God's going to take them to the courtroom, and that's what we see here. Let's read verses 1 through 5 of Hosea chapter 4, and then we'll bow for a word of prayer, and we'll introduce a little bit more the concept of God's courtroom. "Hear the word of the Lord, you children of Israel. For the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, no mercy, no knowledge of God in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood toucheth blood. Therefore shall the land mourn, and every one that dwelleth therein shall languish, with the beasts of the field and with the fowls of heaven. Yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. Yet let no man strive, nor reprove another. For thy people are as they that strive with the priest. Therefore shalt thou fall in the day, and the prophet also shall fall with thee in the night. And I will destroy thy mother." Let's bow for a word of prayer. Father, thank you for your everlasting love. Thank you for your faithfulness that we heard about in Sunday school. Faithfulness that is not dependent upon our faithfulness. For the nation of Israel would have been in a lot of trouble back then, and we'd be in a lot of trouble today. Thank you that you continue to work with us, that you reprove and correct and exhort all so we may be better. And I trust that, as always, our hearts will be sensitive to the guiding and direction of your Holy Spirit as he works through the word in us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. God's going to take them to the courtroom. He says, "I have a controversy." It is a legal term. You can say, well, God doesn't really have a courtroom. Yes, he does. Turn to Romans 3, verse 19. We're going to look at a couple of verses as we get started, because I want you to understand what he's trying to say here. Romans chapter 3, verse 19, he says, "Now we know that what things soever the law saith, it saith to them who are under the law, that every mouth may be stopped, and all the world may become guilty before God." And so the whole world is his courtroom. He's going to develop this in a couple of other different verses. Turn to Micah chapter 6, verse 2. Micah chapter 6, verse 2. "Hear ye, O mountains, the Lord's controversy," same word that's used in Hosea. "And ye strong foundations of the earth, for the Lord hath a controversy with his people, and he will plead with Israel." Now, jump to Isaiah chapter 1. In Isaiah, he's going to start his book off with this thought, pleading with the people that God has a controversy that starting in verse 10. Interesting that he starts the same way he started before. Hear the word of the Lord, ye rulers of Sodom. Give ear unto the law of our God, ye people of Gomorrah. To what purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices unto me, saith the Lord? I am full of the burnt offerings of rams and the fat of fed beasts. And I delight not in the blood of bullocks or of lambs or of he-goats. Now, pause for just a minute, because he's not literally writing to Sodom and Gomorrah, right? How do we know? They don't exist anymore. But what he is doing is he is writing to the nation of Israel, and he is calling them Sodom and Gomorrah. And he's saying, listen, I had to deal with them. Now I have a controversy against you like I had a controversy against them. Verse 12. When ye come to appear before me, who hath required this at your hand to tread my courts? Bring no more vain oblations. Incense is an abomination unto me. The new moons and Sabbaths, the calling of assemblies, I cannot obey with it. It is iniquity, even the solemn meeting. Your new moons and your appointed feasts my soul hateth. They are a trouble unto me. I am wearied to bear them. When ye spread forth your hands, I will hide mine eyes from you. Yea, when ye make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. Wash you, make you clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes. Cease to do evil. Learn to do well. Seek judgment. Relieve the oppressed. Judge the fatherless. Plead for the widow. Now, probably the verse that everyone's familiar with. Come now, and let us reason together, saith the Lord. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. Argument that he makes here is, why do you walk in my courtroom, filthy in sin, yet observing your feast days and observing your Sabbaths and even making many prayers, which I really don't want to hear? Well, why do I want to hear a prayer from you when you are not willing to change your life? You are not willing to forsake your sin. You're not willing to even talk about the issue. That's the whole point of the verses that we just read. And God says, when you walk into my courtroom, you bring vain oblations, you bring empty sacrifices, you bring prayers. You know what pleases me in my courtroom? Change your life. Be obedient. That's what he says. Go over 2 chapters to chapter 3 of Isaiah. In case they didn't get the picture, here we are just 2 chapters later in verse 13 says, the Lord standeth up to plead and standeth to judge the people. He has something to say. He has a controversy with us. Now turn to Jeremiah chapter 25, very next book, verse 31. Noise shall come even to the ends of the earth, for the Lord hath a controversy with the nations. He will plead with all flesh. He will give them that are wicked to the sword, saith the Lord. Probably referring to the Big Bang Theory here when the final judgment occurs at the end. You see over and over and over again this concept of the world standing in judgment because you are in the court of the Lord. And if you remember from our study in Revelation, over and over and over again, we see this picture of a man standing there with feet like burnished fine brass, and his eyes are flaming, and he has white woolen hair for truth and justice. And over and over again, as he presents himself to the churches, he says, listen, you're running around down there and act like I'm not even paying attention. And tonight, as we look at the church of Sardis, again, he's going to say, I have them in my hand, which is interesting. He told the church of Ephesus, I hold you in my hand. Now he's saying, I have you in my hand. Do you not realize that I am watching? Do you not realize that there's going to be accountability? Let's go back to Hosea chapter 4, and let's dig in and look at what God has to say in his courtroom. First of all, he starts off, and we saw in Isaiah that he started off the same way. Hear the word of the Lord. Now, he has been very gently but strongly pointing out the sin through this object lessons with Gomer, the kids, and Hosea. And he has shown the problem that he has, but now he moves into the courtroom, and this word here is a strong word. It's like when they blow the trumpets and the king makes a proclamation. You get everyone's attention. That's what he is doing. He's saying, carefully consider, diligently discern, give ear, listen, regard. This isn't half-heartedly listen while mom and dad are telling you to take out the trash or while somebody's rambling on and on. No, he's saying, listen, you need to tune everything else out and pay attention to what I'm saying because accountability is coming. He also says here the word of the Lord. God is going to spell it out. It's not an object lesson. It's not a parable. He's not beating around the bush. He is laying it out as if it were a court of law. And you are going to stand there and a verdict is going to come down. It's get serious time. And the word of the Lord is going to be the standard. There's not making excuses. There's not. He is standing there with his eyes like fire, and he is standing there ready to judge. And as always, it's always the word of the Lord, the sword coming out of his mouth, that is always the standard of judgment. Unchanging truth, undeniable standard. Now, we're going to see as we go down through here that they have eroded away. And as sin erodes away at a country, at a nation, as a people, less and less and less we like to hear talk about standards and absolutes and right and wrong. And that's where we're going in our country today. The word of the Lord. Interesting that he uses this term. This is Jehovah. And he's going to repeat it again, and he says, ye children of Israel, for the Lord, Jehovah, hath a controversy against you. Anytime you wanted to get a hold of the attention of a Jewish person, all you had to do was use this term for two reasons. It means the self-existent eternal one. In other words, I don't need you, but I'm getting ready to speak to you, is what he's saying. This is also the national name for God of a Jewish person. This is the one that if they're going to write it, they're going to use a brand new quilt, they're going to throw it away, and they're going to take a bath before they do it, so that they are clean when they write this name. Very, very high regard. And the fact that he uses it twice in the matter of a sentence would have gripped their attention. Hear ye the word of Jehovah, ye children of Israel. For Jehovah has a criminal offense against you. Whoa. I mean, you can get the king mad, you can make a neighbor mad, but seriously? You committed a felony against the self-existent eternal one? And now you're standing before him in court? That's basically what he says here. You're not taking serious the first 3 chapters, so let's move into the courtroom. This is an official legal matter. Now he writes, ye children of Israel, he is addressing the 10 tribes, but what he is also doing is he is reminding them that they are the chosen people. In Sunday school, we've been dealing with Abraham, and we're talking about the covenant that he makes to him. You're going to have a lot of descendants. You are going to be blessed, and you're going to get the land. Well, in Exodus chapter 19, verse 8, they are standing there, and God gives them what he expects of them, and their response to him is a promise to obey. All that you have said, we will do. We enter into a legal covenant with you, a verbal agreement. You're going to be our God, we're going to be your people. But now he's going to say, wait a second, you broke the covenant. You didn't keep your end of the deal. Your word isn't any good. There's no truth or honesty among you. What is the controversy that goes on here? And this is a legal term. This means it's a personal contest, as if 2 people were to go to court together. It's a strife. It's a lawsuit. You broke the covenant, and the covenant was with the inhabitants of the land, the nation of Israel. And he gives this general case against them at the end of verse 1. And then he's going to go down through here, and he's going to break down the consequences that have been happening to them in verses 2 through verse 5. And what's really interesting is you look at this and you can see the deterioration of a nation who has abandoned the three things that he presents before him at the end of verse 1. The case is simple. There's no truth, there's no mercy, and there's no knowledge of me in the land. You say, well, it doesn't sound too simple. He starts off and he says, because there is no truth. And the first part of this is that there's no faithfulness. He says, you did not keep your word. You are not loyal in your mind. You are not dedicated to me. You are not committed to me. You don't think about me. You've been running off after idols. And we saw in chapter 3 how he was eyeing the other idols and longing for them. And God told Hosea, it doesn't matter. Go after her anyway. He says, you have not been loyal to me. You have not been committed to me in your mind. In your words, you speak falsehood. You're not dealing properly with each other. You're not dealing properly with me. You come on Sunday, you offer up your offering, you pray, and then you go home and you're living like a terror Monday through Saturday. And it's supposed to be okay in my courtroom. And he said, your works are a fraud. It's almost like he's writing to a couple of the churches in Revelation, right? I know thy works. Tonight we're going to look at a dead church. They look like they're living, but there's nothing going on there. And that's kind of what his argument is here against the nation of Israel. There is no consistency. Paul put it this way, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And here they are trying to act like they're the nation of Israel. In fact, when Christ rebukes them, they puff out their chest and they say, oh, I can't believe you're talking to me like that. Do you not realize that I'm a child of Abraham? And he says, if you were children of Abraham, you'd act like children of Abraham, because this isn't the way Abraham acted. So, over and over and over again, God's called them out on the carpet. Situational ethics. No right or wrong here. It just kind of depends on what the situation is happening. It is what we see when there is no truth, when there is no faithfulness in the land. How do you conduct business if there's no truth in the land? How do you treat each other when there's no truth in the land? How do you make a contract if you're not sure that the other person is going to abide by it? Nobody's word really means anything anymore. So what happens to a society when that happens? You end up like it was in the book of Judges, with everybody doing that which is right in their own eyes. The second argument is no mercy. There's no kindness. There's no gentleness. There's no brotherly love. There's no pity. There's just hard-heartedness and selfishness and lack of restraint. And that's why this picture of idolatry and adultery being linked together. He says, you have no lack of restraint. So you look longingly after these other idols, and then you see that the way these people are behaving when you worship them, and you're like, well, this Jewish thing they got going on is so restrictive. I'm not allowed to eat this, and I'm not supposed to do it, I'm not supposed to do it. Man, these people are running around sleeping with everybody, and these people are running around worshiping all this stuff. But I have to be Jewish, and so I'm going to go to the temple, and I'm going to do this sacrifice, and I'm going to observe these feasts. But with the rest of my life, I'm going to run around with my neighbors and act like a filthy heathen. Lack of restraint, selfishness. I'll do what I want to do, and I'll do it when I want to do it. And the first two lead to the third one. There is no knowledge of God in the land. Now, it means a couple of different things. It means people are generally ignorant of who He is, what He has done for them, what He expects. We saw this in chapter 2 and 3 too, because He is blessing them and they are attributing it to the idol worship. Oh, look at Baal, he's bringing the rain, and God has to withhold 3 years. Come on, gang. For a month I haven't been able to get over that. Every time I look outside, man, it is hot and dry today. And I sit there and think, I cannot imagine not having rain for 3 years. You want to know how hard people's hearts can be? After 3 years of drought, they still won't worship Him. witness to them, they at least knew who Jesus Christ was. And man, you go and talk to some people today, and you ask them about Jesus Christ, and they have no idea. They don't have any idea. Hey, well, do you believe in God? Well, not really. I mean, I've never seen him or anything. It's just not in their life. And so you have to start basically all the way back at Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God, and then try and talk to somebody and show them that they're a sinner and that they need salvation, because in a lot of people's world today, God doesn't exist. I mean, they say they're an atheist. Most of them don't really believe they're atheists. It's just easier to say you're an atheist because he's not in your life. This word is an interesting word, because the word knowledge of God is a strong word. It means like a married relationship. Similar to, Adam knew his wife Eve. You say, well, no one should know you as well as your husband or wife. There is an intimacy there that isn't, and that's why God says one man, one woman for life. There's supposed to be a really, really special relationship, a really special bond that develops there. And God says, you're the bride of Christ. Where's that intimate, close, personal knowledge and fellowship with him? If he's the bridegroom and you're the bride. And yet, there's no relationship like that, because you've been running around in idolatry, committing spiritual adultery. Willingly excluded God from their minds. And every time I hear this, I think of Romans chapter 1. And I thought, we're not going to have enough time to go there this morning. We got to move. But we have to go there, folks. Because I want you to see that in the New Testament, it was the same problem that it is all the way back in Hosea's day. And it's the same problem that we have in our country today. You can watch it around you in the news. Romans chapter 1, starting in verse 18. Let's go back to verse 17. For therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith. Well, what happens if they don't? Look at verse 18. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. Because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God hath showed it to them. Here we are in the courtroom again. Everybody is aware of the evidence. What do they do with it? For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. If you believe in evolution, you willingly believe in it because it's obvious it's not true. That's what verse 20 says. The creation of him are clearly seen. If you can't look around at the order and the organization of this world and see that there had to be a designer, you have a serious problem. Well, he's going to tell us about the serious problem, because that starts in verse 21. Because that, when they what? Notice they weren't ignorant. It's not like they developed the situation we're getting ready to read about, because God never showed up and told them. He never made himself available to them. It says, when they knew him. They've been to Sunday school classes. Some of them have parents that raised them right. But it doesn't matter. It says they glorified him not as God. That's a choice. And choices have consequences. Neither were thankful. Well, if you choose not to glorify him as God and you are not thankful, then you become vain in their imaginations and their foolish heart was darkened. And professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. Well, what happens when you become a fool? You change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible men, into birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. You fall into idolatry. And he continues, wherefore God also gave them up to the things that idolatry leads to. You want to live your life without God? Okay, here you go. you are going to have no truth and no mercy in the land. And when you have no truth and no mercy and no knowledge of God in the land, then you are given up to vile affections. And as vile affections run their course, look what happens. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature, homosexuality. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their what? One toward another, homosexuality, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error. If you choose homosexuality, you can expect the consequences. God says you will receive in yourself the consequences of those choices. Even as they did not like to retain, they are aware that there's a God, but they willingly choose to ignore him. See what it says? They did not want to retain God in their knowledge. And Hosea says, there is no knowledge of God in the land. Why? Because the nation of Israel didn't want to retain him in their knowledge. That's why. So God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. And you go down through and you read the rest of the chapter, and I'm telling you, you see it on the news every day. You see it in business dealings. You see it in the way people treat each other. You say, how in the world does the world get this bad? When they turn their back on God and choose to live their life apart from him. So God takes them to the courtroom and he says, listen, I have this controversy against you. There is no truth. Not with me, not with anybody else. You broke my covenant. You're not treating each other properly. There's no mercy. See somebody in need, drive right on by, don't even care. And there's no knowledge of God because you chose not to retain me in your thinking. That is willful sin. It's not like the nation of Israel made a few little mistakes and then they find themselves weeks, months, years later in. No, they made willful choices to exclude God. We don't have the time to sit here and spend a lot of time, but actually Romans chapter 1 and Hosea chapter 4 are like parallel passages. Quite possible that when Paul writing to the Romans, he used Hosea chapter 4 as the backdrop for when he was writing this, and he said, listen, if you're running around and you see a bunch of backbiters, haters, God, despiteful, proud, murderers, big deceit, homosexuality rampant, all this other kind of stuff going on, it is because all of these folks that chose not to retain God in their thinking. And go back to Hosea chapter 4. What happens when we choose to live our life apart from God? God says, well, there are some serious consequences. And the rest of today and next week we're going to deal with these because you have to be aware of them. Verse 2, by swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out in blood and toucheth blood. The consequences, the first one is moral depravity. When you don't have absolute right and wrong from God's word, the very first thing affected is everyone's personal and our corporate moral depravity. We lose our conscience. Lying. You trade truth for perjury. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Compassion for corrupt speech. Ephesians chapter 4. The 4 rules of communication. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying. That it may minister grace to the ear, and grieve not the Holy Spirit of God. But I don't care about that. All I care about is what it gets me. And when lying becomes the thing, and I'm telling you, we see it. How in the world do Congress members just bold-facedly lie on TV and everybody sees it and it's broadcast on 50,000 TV channels and tweeted and Twittered, all kinds of stuff? And you think, 5 years later, there's reelected and they're serving in some house pen. Why? You remember the scandal in California a couple of years ago when all the senators were writing bad checks on the House bank and the Senate bank, and everybody had this big uproar, and you think, wow, something's going to change. And then it was an election year, for crying out loud, when the thing broke. Do you know that 90% of the folks who were involved in that got reelected? You want to know why? Because the people who are reelected are saying, man, that ain't that bad. I do that all the time. Right? Who in Congress is going to hold somebody else in Congress accountable for lying? And when you see what's happened with the Department of Justice in the last couple of years and the FBI, who's holding them accountable for lying? And so our founding fathers, who were incredibly brilliant and set up this once in a, who knows, incredible government that was founded on God's Word. And then you have a society that decides we don't want to live by God's Word because I can't go off and do this and I can't go off and do this, and it makes me feel funny when I'm running around doing my favorite sin. And so if you take away the foundation of what it was built on, all of a sudden we don't have three branches that are holding each other accountable anymore because nobody wants to be held accountable. And so you have this moral depravity. And once you start lying to somebody, and you don't really value them, and you start taking advantage of them in a little way, how big of a jump is it to the very next word? Do you see it? Mass murder went on in Texas yesterday. And how many more this morning? Three places. You ever wonder what makes a person walk into a church or a shopping mall or anywhere and just start shooting people? Is it because your whole life long you never valued anyone else? You don't care to lie to them, you don't care to cheat them, you don't care, and then pretty soon, wait a minute, these people are in my way. I'm fixing to make a statement. Violence. Man alive, we're getting to be a violent country. I mean, we're getting to be. You go to a Pee-wee anything game, it's amazing how many parents are throwing hands and slapping and carrying on, and road rage on the highways and fighting over parking spaces because who wants to walk 10 more steps into Walmart? But this word also means withholding relief. Jesus Christ said, if you love your neighbor, then do what is within your power when you see the opportunity to do so. And this is the exact opposite of that. You walk by and you see somebody who has a need, and I don't care if they die. One less mouth to feed, one less, by the way, which leads to abortion and euthanasia. That baby is cramped in my style. This old person is taking up my resources, so they had their opportunity to live and had a good time of it, or I'll snuff them out before I have to be responsible for them. And so on each end of the spectrum, we have this failure to appreciate life. Or what about falsehood? What about you get hauled into a courtroom and here's this neighbor who's standing in your way of something, and so you commit perjury and you lie about so-and-so, and what happens if it's the death penalty for them? But that's just fine and good because, after all, you got what you wanted. Or how about a temperament of evil that is turned on others? You see, all of these conditions mean that there is no sanctity of human life. There's no appreciation for human life. The third word here, stealing. By the way, I kind of skipped over swearing. I figured you knew what that was. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing, there's no respect Stealing can be in a lot of areas. Do you give them less than is due them? I'm sorry, but when that mine closed down and the people go to the bank with their paycheck and they can't cash their check, that's stealing. It is. Stealing. They had a contract. You work, I'll pay you X amount of money an hour, or if they were on salary, whatever it is. And when they go down to the bank with that check is the rewards of what they earned. So you did not pay them what was due them. That's theft. And it ought to be treated that way. Or fraud. You know something's broken, or you know something's fake. How many of you ladies, if you went to the jeweler and walked in there and said, something wrong with my ring, and the guy looked at it and said, well, that's not even a diamond, that's a cubic zirconium. What? My husband paid good money for that. That's fraud. Theft, outright taking it. Or something that we don't necessarily think of, preventing them from getting what is right. You try to block them in a lawsuit for a long time. Or you try to make it so expensive that they just give up because they don't have the funds to fight you in court or to meet the demands that are on you. And over again, you see that there is a respect for people, and money and stuff becomes more valuable than people do. He goes on, committing adultery. Listen, if you don't value your neighbor, what difference does it make if you steal his wife? If you find out, shoot him. And go shoot all the rest of them too. Because they're getting in the way. Adultery is a lack of commitment. It's a lack of restraint, and it's a lack of respect. And all three of those talk about a mindset that is reflected by an attitude. God says, y'all are out of control. You're swearing, you're lying, you're killing, you're stealing, and you're committing adultery. And then he uses this term that we look at in English. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. They break out. Well, you get pimples all over. You know the evil ones because they're covered with pimples. That's not what he's talking about. What he says is, he says the conditions are getting so bad. This is a term that you would use for floodwaters that swell the riverbank. See, normally the riverbank controls the flow of the water. But God says your sin, your attitude, this killing and stealing and all, is swelling the river, and it's swelling the river, and it's swelling the river. And all of a sudden, you don't like the restraints that I've set up here. You just pour it over the banks. Where does the water go? Well, if I take some of this water and I spill it up here on the pulpit, where does it go? Wherever it wants. It seeks its own level. And that's exactly what he says about the attitude of sin that the nation of Israel had. He said, you are like water overflowing the banks. It gets in the houses, it gets in everything. And it's ruining everything it touches. When they have a big flood and it completely floods a house, what are they safe in the house? Most of the time they can't even save the house, right? Mold starts growing and they have to tear down everything. The pictures are destroyed. The refrigerator's no good. The beds, haul the mattresses out, burn it, do whatever. It is wasted. That is the picture that he says right here. The other way that the term is used is for an unruly beast. If an ox gets loose and push your neighbor, remember we talked about that last week? If a wild animal gets loose and starts running around all over the place, that's what your sin is like. Who does it hurt? Anybody it comes in contact with. We were in Ohio for a while. They had a big worry that there was a lion loose down near Columbus. And for like weeks they'd have on it. Oh, so-and-so saw this lion walking around, and kids couldn't go out for recess, and people were all bent out of shape. And they were checking all the zoos like the zoo wouldn't know that there were lions missing. Police are running around with tranquilizer guns hoping to catch it, and they're walking through all this place. I mean, you'd be really careful if there was a lion running around, wouldn't you? No, you wouldn't, because Satan's walking around as a roaring lion seeking whom he may power, and we just run around acting like, hello, let's get on with life and do what I want to do. He says, you are breaking out, water going out to destroy, an unruly beast that comes upon somebody and seizes on them. That's how rampant and violent this sin has become. If that term wasn't bad enough, this term's even harder. Blood touches blood. It's a term about multiplied violence. And it's possible that he is referring to one of the prophets that was slain near the altar. And witnesses say that his blood ran out and actually mixed with the blood that was being offered at the sacrificial altar, because the king got so mad when he went to warn him about God's judgment. Could be a double meaning, but I can tell you this. In 2 Kings chapter 15, there are 5 murderous kings in the space of 40 years. And for sake of time, we're not going to turn there. If you want to look it up this afternoon, it's like this guy kills this guy. And then a couple of years later, he gets mad, so he kills him. And right in the middle of it, one of the kings gets, he's going down and he's going to kill this guy, and they won't give him sanctuary in the city. So he goes down and he murders the king, kills his family, and on the way back, he's so mad that this city wouldn't help him that he goes in there and wipes out everybody. And he says his violence was so bad that every pregnant woman was ripped open. And then they ripped the babies up. He said, that's disgusting. You look in history at the people who have done that, they are the most violent, they're the horrible. That's Ninevite type stuff. That's why Jonah didn't want to go there. Violence upon violence upon violence, and there are 5 murderous kings in the northern kingdom in the space of 40 years in 2 Kings chapter 15. And it's just violence after violence after violence after violence, and then all of a sudden the kingdom's going to end. God says, I'm done with this. Enough's enough. You are over-swelling rivers. You are rampaging tigers just running around destroying people. Moral decline. I wonder if we had a huge revival in our country, could we shut the bars down like they used to? Or would we even get anybody to come? Because there are so many people now who want to live their life without God. And a long time from now, when we get towards the end of Revelation, there's a passage there where God talks about ungodly and all your ungodly deeds with your ungodly thinking and your ungodly, and I am going to come and judge the ungodly. You wanted to live your life without me? You're going to spend eternity in hell without me. Can you imagine the reception Hosea got? 3 chapters of this object lesson, and now all of a sudden he comes down to the nation of Israel and says, hey, listen up! Jehovah says, and Jehovah has something against you. There's no truth. There's no mercy. There's no knowledge of me in the land. And because of it, you're already in moral decay. We have several more to go. Let's bow for a word of prayer. Father, over and over and over again in your word, you have shown us this horrible, horrible up and down, back and forth with the nation of Israel. And sometimes it's so easy when we are studying and when we're reading to think, man, God, why in the world do these people not get it? Well, for the same reason we don't get it today. We simply love our sin far more than we love you. The world looks so much better than you do. And the law of the Lord is something that is hindering our lifestyle or our attitudes or our actions in some way, and it's inconvenient. We'll do it for a little while. We'll be two-faced and hypocritical and put up a facade, and we'll worship on Sunday, Hosea's time, and you're still right today. When you stand and look down with those all-seeing eyes, you have a controversy against us. Because there's no truth, no mercy, and no knowledge of you in the land. Father, you called us to be salt and light. But if our salt has lost its savor, might as well get thrown out and walked on. Because we're not doing what you ask us